welcome to the Think MHK podcast presented by the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. On this podcast, you will hear from a variety of people from across the region, including community leaders and business owners. You will hear their Manhattan stories and hopefully get to know your friends and business associates a little better. Thanks for tuning in today. With us today on the Think MHK podcast is Brad Ross. Brad was one of our 20 under 40 winners we recognized earlier in 2025, and we're glad to have him with us today. Brad, thanks for being with us on the Think MHK podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for inviting me.
So Brad, why don't you tell us a little about yourself? How did you end up in Manhattan, and what do you do for a living?
Sure. So I'm originally from Winfield, Kansas. My family moved here in 1994, right after the 1993 flood. Career change for my dad. We bought the only house in town that didn't have water in the basement when they were looking for a home here. So that was kind of where we ended up. We lived off Claflin there. But yeah, so I've been here. went to Amanda Arnold, been around for a long time. I am a mechanical electrical plumbing engineer now. So I work with Orazem Scalora Engineering. I'm one of the partners there with Tom Orazem, who's our president, David Griffith, and Garrett Garman. We're all the partners there at the firm. My wife is a reading specialist. We live in Wamego now, and we have a 13-year-old daughter who goes to Wamego Middle School. And
so you graduated from 383?
No, actually, I graduated from Wamego. So 8th grade, we moved to Wamego, and I finished out high school there.
So what was that like? I mean, Wamego seems like a great town. I've been in Manhattan now a little over 6 years, and I enjoy going over there for a variety of different things. So it seems like a kind of your typical ideal small town.
Definitely. We love the community vibe over there. I feel like it's another way, a different approach to kind of that small town feel. Manhattan, to me anyway, is a little more the small city almost. So Wamego really gives you that real true small town feel, and somewhere my wife lived there all the way through from kindergarten through high school, and really had a draw to want to get back there. Her family's there, so we really do enjoy that community. It's
an easy drive.
To live. Yeah, absolutely. It's 20 minutes and I'm in the office. It's not a big deal.
And so what made you decide to be an engineer? That's a pretty big commitment.
So I would say I had a really awesome high school physics teacher. I actually, right at the end of high school, was probably going to go to med school. Did a kind of an internship with Dr. Dobeck here in town. And I realized it wasn't anything she did. It just was not the career for me. I probably could have done it, but there were some things that were done that I was just like, man, it made me cringe and not real comfortable. I'm like, I don't know that I can do this medical thing. So got to talking with my high school physics teacher, and he was like, man, you really enjoy this math and science thing. Have you thought about engineering? And so that kind of got me pointed in that direction. Started out in a different engineering program, and then a semester in realized, hey, I really want to go through this architectural engineering. It's a little bit more of a social, outgoing type engineering. You have a lot more client day-to-day interface, and then there's a combination of that and getting out on construction job sites, and feels a little more hands-on, even though we don't really do anything hands-on, but you get to actually get out and not just be in a cubicle or in a lab somewhere.
And you went to K-State?
Graduated from K-State in 2008 with an architectural engineering degree.
And K-State's engineering degree, or engineering school, is obviously well thought of across the region especially, but really across the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, like when we went through, it was for the architectural engineering program, it was between us and Penn State. We were like the two best in the country, and we always battled for that top spot in some of the competition programs and stuff like that. Okay.
And then now there's a relatively new engineering dean. Do you keep up with that or what's going on at K-State?
I do to some degree. There are a couple of the deans up there that I know from. They were either in school the same time I was, or actually one of them was one of my high school classmates, Andy Fund up there. So, so I know some of the guys up there a little bit, but we're really kind of centered more on just the department of the architectural engineering, because that's where we go grab our interns from.
I bet you're recruiting students.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Our new hires.
So you were named, as we talked about, part of the 20 under 40, and there's a couple of processes to that. One is you're notified that you've been nominated, and so you make a decision to go through the application process, and then you're notified when you win. So kind of walk us through that. What was your reaction when you found out you were nominated, and then ultimately what was your reaction, and how'd you feel about being selected?
So the word that just keeps coming to mind when somebody asks me about this or something is humbling. I knew several of the other people when, the list was actually produced and said who had won the award. And I know some of their accomplishments. And so to even be named in that list and that group of people was a big honor. As far as the process and stuff goes, I don't know. It was very kind of a big surprise for me, and just like I said, it's a very humbling experience.
Did you ever find out who nominated you?
Yeah, it was one of my Leadership Manhattan classmates who was also, I believe, one of the award winners, Veronica. So
what year were you in Leadership Manhattan?
It was class of 2023.
Okay. So what made you decide to go through that program? Because I know we've had a lot of our 20 under 40 winners who have gone through that program at some point.
Yeah. So Garrett Garman in my office, one of my partners, he's been through the program, and so he's on the board for it, and was a strong advocate for the program. And I knew some of the other alumni from previous classes. Just seemed like a really good opportunity for me to get out there and interact with other businesses that we don't typically interact with, and it was a good opportunity to learn some new leadership skills. And I now serve on the board. I'm actually the vice chair of the Leadership Manhattan board now. I'm definitely a strong promoter and of the program. I think it's a great program, and anybody that's got people young or old, doesn't matter, that have not been through that program, they should definitely take a look at it.
We certainly enjoy doing the program, and this year we started the program for high school sophomores. So you've been part of that, and I've been excited to kind of see how that has worked as well. And I think we had 12 that were in the class this year, and so I appreciate not just you going through the class, but the work that you do on the board. I think that's great, and your commitment to that. So you talked a little bit about this, but you're an engineer. Your wife is in education. You guys could get jobs anywhere in the country, and have probably had opportunities at some point or another to leave. Why have you decided to stay? And what makes, I have Manhattan written on my list of questions. In your case, the Manhattan region. What makes the Manhattan region a great place to live and work and raise a family?
So we actually did initially start outside. My first job was in Topeka. We lived in Topeka for just shy of a year, and had the opportunity to buy a house in Wamego and move back. I actually did commute for about another year. For us, it was just coming home. Although I was born in another area, this is the place I've been the longest and had been at that point in my life. And it was definitely home for both of us. For someone who's not from the area, and then maybe wants to look into the Manhattan area, I would say that it gives you that small town feel, but also the small city feel. I think there's a lot of things to do and a lot of things that'll, there's good places to eat. There's plenty of activities, but, within 10 minutes you can be out in the middle of nowhere with all that noise kind of shut off, and, do outdoor type things that you might want to do that it's hard to do if you live in a big city. Yeah.
Do you find that, again, you graduated in Wamego, and as your wife, do you find that a lot of the people that you grew up with stuck around, or is it kind of a 50-50 mix, or what does that look like?
Yeah, there's definitely a mix. I don't know exactly what that ratio would be.
Mm-hmm.
So I also help coach the Wamego track club. And so I've got several of my high school classmates' kids now out on the track team. We've got, upwards of probably close to 100 kids from kindergarten through sixth grade that go out for that track club. And for you to see those kids coming through, it kind of gives you an idea of who's still around and who's not. Yeah, there's definitely a mix, even in Wamego,
mm-hmm.
A smaller group that stick around.
What got you involved in the track club?
So my daughter was on the track team,
or
on the track club team. And I showed up to practice one day, and they were just horribly short on coaches for the amount of kids that were out. There were, at that time, I think 60 kids out and 2 to 3 coaches. And so I just I'll just volunteer, kind of get started doing this. And so this will be my 3rd season. My daughter's actually aged out of it, and so she is now coming back as a 7th grader. So she goes with me to track club and is helping as an assistant as well.
Got it. How many kids you have?
Just one. My one daughter's 13.
7th grader at Wamego?
Yep.
Okay, and runs track, obviously?
Yep. She's deep into track season right now.
So what advice do you have to young professionals who are just maybe getting out of college or or, obviously in Manhattan, we have a lot that leave the military and are starting their permanent careers.
I had a graduation speaker who his advice was to always remember you always start life over as a freshman. And I feel like that's really rung true throughout my life. You start a new job, you're a freshman at your job. You get married, you're a freshman at being married. And
I still feel like a freshman at being married.
Absolutely. I mean,
there's changes every day, but
there's so many examples of like that just keeps happening and it keeps popping up. And so really what it's about is it's okay to feel uncomfortable in something new, and to embrace that newness and get excited about it like you were when you were starting out, and use that energy to put forth into whatever it is you're doing. So I tell that to my interns. I tell that to our new young staff. Just always remember, you're going to get a promotion. You're new at that,
yeah,
and it's okay. It's okay, and embrace that.
That's good advice. I should have asked this earlier, but when you were talking about your interns and those kind of things, talk a little bit about what does an architect engineer do? What is it that you do on a fairly regular basis?
So we do mechanical, electrical, and plumbing design. Most of that is for buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So air conditioning systems, plumbing systems, lighting, power, anything that you would need to make the building kind of function and breathe and work and do what it needs to do. We typically work for an architect. So we're a sub-consultant to them. They're going to design the building, the layout, kind of how everything works. And then we work with them to get all the systems in it to make it do whatever the function is that they need it to do.
Yeah. So do you usually have to go back to the architect and go, yeah, that doesn't work. You need
depends.
more space for this, more space for that, or
yeah,
whatever.
we have some architects that just get it and it's easy. And then there's some that it takes a little bit more back and forth, and you gotta kind of explain, hey, that mechanical room needs to be 10% larger or whatever, because the equipment we needs a little more space.
Any notable projects around here
So we've done a lot of stuff for the university, college business building,
nice.
The Union renovation, Welcome Center, both the East and both the West Stadium renovations for Purple Mask and the band. So we've done tons of work on campus. The St. Isidore's Church, like myself personally, the last bond issue for Wamego schools, I got to work on all of that, which was awesome. It was designing stuff for my own school. And that was a really cool experience. And one of the other engineers we have in our office, she's also a Wamego High grad. And so she got to work on that project with me, and that was cool.
Well, cool. It's always one of those things that we all know we need engineers, and then 90% of us probably don't even know why we need engineers.
Sure.
So it's always good to kind of explain what that job entails. So last question as part of this part of the interview. Obviously, you listen to the Think MHK podcast on a regular basis, but other than that one, are there any podcasts you listen to? Or are you a reader? Or are you what?
So we talked about this a little bit beforehand. I'm probably not a big podcast listener. I'm more of a music person.
Right.
And so and I will listen to about anything music wise. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be classical to, something more modern, whatever. If I do listen to a podcast besides the Think MHK podcast,
that goes without saying.
One of my favorites is one called Bible Briefs.
Okay.
So it just kind of goes more in depth into biblical stories, and it's really helpful if you're reading a story that you don't understand culturally or contextually what was going on at the time. They kind of go into detail and explain it a little bit more.
I have to check that out. Those are, I think those kind of things are interesting to me. All right. Well, Brad, that's the end of the regular portion of the interview. We're now going to go to rapid fire. This is where, we ask you to answer 10 questions, short answers. We may follow up on something if it feels like it needs a follow-up. But other than that, just kind of gives us a little insight into you and who you are as a person.
Yeah.
So are you ready?
I think so.
Do you have any hidden talents?
The ability to identify song lyrics. It kind of goes with my music thing. So song lyrics, especially stuff that's really fast, being able to pick those out.
So explain to me what that is. You mean like understand the words?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like if it's one of those songs that you're like, what did they just say? I'm usually able to pick it apart and figure it out.
Interesting. Because I'm terrible at it. I just like sort of just go along with what it sounds like. And my wife will look over at me and go, "What did you just say?" And I go, I don't know. I'm just saying what it sounds like, right? So I may have to call you next. Although anymore, remember when you were a kid, and I'm older than you, so you probably don't, but we didn't have the internet, and unless they printed the lyrics on the album covers or whatever, you just didn't know.
Absolutely.
You just sort of argued at school about what you thought it said. If you could only watch one movie or television show for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I like The Office. I can binge watch that over and over.
We have a lot of that answer.
Sure.
What job did you want as a kid?
I was going to be an astronaut.
That's a pretty common one for kids, right?
Sure. I actually did 3 years of the space program down through the Cosmosphere.
Oh,
3
okay,
summers
cool.
worth of the space camp down there. So
Well, and being in physics, I'm surprised, liking physics as much as you, I'm surprised you didn't head down that path.
yeah,
So,
just not where life took me.
if someone paid you to write a blog or book about anything, what would it be about?
The weather.
Really? Why the weather?
So a lot of the fundamentals for what I do for especially the heating and air conditioning side
Mhm.
are the same fundamentals they use to forecast weather.
Okay.
And so I can go read about, what the forecast is coming up, and if you get into the detailed stuff and the thermodynamics, which I know is super nerdy and everything, but it just interests me.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume barometric pressures and humidity and all that is pretty instrumental in what you do too.
Absolutely. Well, I make indoor weather, right? Make it comfortable inside.
What was your first job?
As a lifeguard.
Who inspires you the most and why?
So that'd be my grandfather, who's no longer with us, but just a solid person. Just always a rock in our family for sure.
What is the most unusual pet you've had?
So I had an angelfish in college that doesn't seem like an unusual thing, but I came back from class one day, and for whatever reason, that thing had gone crazy and killed every other fish in the tank. It was just kind of a unique one. I don't know what happened.
Kind of a
but
vicious
just
angelfish.
went crazy.
Yeah. Well, he was a psycho angelfish. What skill would you most like to learn?
I would like to be able to speak more languages. I think that'd be a great thing to know.
Aside from necessities, what's one thing you cannot go the day without?
Coffee.
And last question, what did you do as a teenager that makes you cringe now?
I had a really loud car stereo.
I think there's a lot of people that had really loud car
Well, that
stereos.
goes along with the music, right?
Yeah.
I love music.
You participated in the bands and those kind of things at K-State. Talk about your experience doing that.
So I didn't at K-State, but I did at high school.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to at K-State. I just felt like
Well, the engineering program's pretty demanding.
Yeah,
for sure.
with the engineering. And I knew plenty of kids who did, but
Right.
I just knew for me, because I was also working while I went to school. So trying to fit that in with a job too was going to be very challenging. I look back on it now and really wish I could have done it and found a way to do it. Yeah, no. So I was on the drum line in high school for marching band, did concert band percussion, and then I played the drum set for both the jazz bands and jazz choir groups.
Okay. Awesome. And that was in high school.
Yeah, that was all in high school.
Do you ever play drums anymore? Do you do that?
I still have my drum set.
Yeah.
It's been out very infrequently. Maybe someday.
This round of our 20 under 40, you are the fourth person who is a drummer.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable that all of a sudden we've had this rash of people who played the drums.
That is a very weird thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We'll have to get you all together and y'all could start your own drum line.
Yeah,
or
there you
something.
go.
That would be
Yeah.
fun. Well, Brad, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on being selected as one of the 20 under 40, and we appreciate you giving us some time today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Think MHK, a podcast produced by the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. If you enjoyed the Think MHK podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe and share it out on your social media channels. Feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce.